Hello everyone and hello teacher. This is my video presentation. I'm going to present to you about chapter 5, which is clarification and interpreting expressions and idea. And here are the contents of this chapter. Before we get to the main point, I would like to explain you about the definition of the keywords in this chapter. The first word is clarifying. Clarifying is to make something less confused and more comprehensible. And the word interpreting is to explain the meaning of something, for example, information or action. So clarification and interpreting expressions and idea is basically mean to make them understandable to you or to anyone. Let's talk about the main point 5.1. What is the problem? Is it vagueness, ambiguity, a need for example, or something else? When you encounter a situation in which we don't get what someone says, that is the problem. So the first thing is to be clear as you can about the nature of the problem and the purpose of providing clarification. Let's move to 5.2. Who is the audience? What background, knowledge and belief can they be assumed to have? So we can see that the level of clarification needed will depend on the audience, like how much knowledge that the audience has. Next is 5.3. Given the audience, what will provide sufficient clarification for present purpose? There are many different ways of clarifying ideas depending on the need. Sometimes you will want to be clear about what someone else means, in which case this method will help, but sometimes other people will want to clarify what you mean. So you need to bear this method in mind when writing or talking yourself, so that your ideas are presented reasonably clearly to your audience. So there are 2 points in this section. The first one is possible sources of clarification, and second one is ways of clarifying terms and ideas. The first point is about possible source of clarification. There are another 3 points in this part. The first one is a dictionary definition. Imagine that you are reading something and you encounter a word the meaning of which you do not understand. The context might enable you to make a guess, but if you want to check an object course of action will often have to be looked in a dictionary. Dictionaries can be useful when you need to clarify terms, but they have a very particular role in the process of clarifying ideas. In short, they tell you the way in which words are normally and generally used by native speakers of a language. And the second point is about definition or explanation from an authority in the field. Sometimes when you are reading relatively specialized material, you will encounter a need for clarification, and a dictionary will not be enough because the language is being used in a technical, specialized or strict sense, which you need to know. A good dictionary might point you in the right direction, but you will often have to consult some standard text, work or reference, or authority in the field to get an explanation of its special usage. To check the meaning of such technical words, you can either look in textbook or words of reference in that field, or you can ask someone you expect to know, like lecturer, lawyer, economist, or scientist. The last point is about the deciding on a meaning or stipulating a meaning. Some expressions are generally used by native speakers of the language, or how they are used by some special group like mathematicians, economists or lawyers. The use of ordinary language among native speakers usually just develop and change without making any special decision. I will give you a quick example. lawyers need to distinguish between different kinds of evidence. So they have introduced some special terms such as circumstantial evidence, hearsay evidence, and have given them special meaning. Another find new idea they want to capture and are then faced with the idea to give new meanings to words or phrases and decide a meaning which serve their purpose. Second part is ways of clarifying terms and ideas. So in this part there are 5 points. The first point is giving us synonymous expression or paraphrase. Synonymous means has the same meaning. So one way to explain the meaning of an expression is to give others expression which has the same meaning and they might be expected to understand because the audience is familiar with the words. The second point is giving necessary and sufficient conditions or an if and only if definition. Sometimes we explain the meaning of an expression by giving a synonymous expression or paraphrase which means much the same without necessarily meaning exactly the same. The third point is giving clear example, non-example. It is often very useful to give really good example to clarify an idea. The fourth point is drawing contrast. One of the most useful things is to do when considering the meaning of a claim or term is to ask what contrasts are being drawn or what is being ruled out. And the last point is explanation, the history of an expression. This method will give you to know a full explanation which will go well beyond what dictionary will tell you. The internet is often helpful, but there is a problem about deciding which sites are reliable, and we shall address. Move on to 5.4, which is about how much detail is needed by this audience in this situation. So in this part, there are 2 points. The first one is direct evidence. The direct evidence consists either of the testimony of a witness who perceived the fact to be proof or the production of a document or thing which constitute the fact to be proof. And the second point is about original evidence. Original evidence is the evidence of a witness who deposits of facts of his own knowledge. 5.5 problem during requiring clarification in reasoning means that sometimes an expression may be used in the context of reasoning in a way which is misleading so far its meaning is concerned, and this can lead the reasoner astray. Let's move to the 5.6, the purpose of this chapter. Clarification is essential in understanding during communication, and it is a form of reflection that eliminates ambiguity, confusing, or misunderstanding. The chapter also suggests that you do not need to see the lack of clarity elsewhere, or you should meet every claim or argument with the question, for example, like what do you mean? Because it is straightforward, and you have to bear in mind that not everything can be defined or explained. You need to be alive to the importance of weakness, ambiguity, so that you can spot it when it matters and then ask the right question. So let's move to the last part of this chapter, which 5.7, which is about to summarize. Here is a thinking map about clarifying ideas carefully, and this thinking map can summarize the whole chapter that I have presented, and you can also find it in the book. Before I end my video presentation, I would like to give a short example for you, which I found in the story Romeo and Juliet. So this statement, Romeo said, "Oh dear Count, my life is my false debt." So is this statement clear enough in general? And if not, how can you explain it? These statements come from Romeo, so it is likely that the statement is from the story Romeo and Juliet. And statement can be anywhere in the story, so you will need to read the whole story to know that. So why did Romeo said that? In this case, you need to read about the part where they met, or the part that they talk to each other. And if you still don't understand it, you should ask a teacher or someone who have read this story or who understand it in order to understand that statement. And that is the end of my video presentation. Thank you for watching.